What's good, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Carter Sports Coverage. I'm your boy SB Cash. As y'all can see, Ryan ain't with me. Next week we will have a pause on the show, but we'll be back for April 20th. I want to let everybody know that now. Next week we'll have a pause on the show, but we will be back April 20th. So for this episode of Carter Sports Coverage, I want to get into a couple NFL things. It's not nothing really going on that side, but it is a few things. I'm going to talk about the Bills signing Stephon Diggs, and I'll also talk about Bobby Wagner to the Rams that I didn't get to talk to you all about last week because it happened on Thursday. So we'll talk about it this week. Then on the basketball side, we'll talk about these Lakers missing the playoffs. We'll talk about the Rookie of the Year race. And we'll talk about the play-in, the East and the West. It's about 3 games left for everybody. So we'll talk about the last seedings for the playoffs. So, before we get to it, you already know. Shout out to Feed Me Sandwich Kings. Come get you a sandwich. Shout out to DJ Mar. Keep going hard. And let's dive into this week's episode. So, I actually want to start with the NBA first. So, let's get into it. As y'all can see, I have on a championship Lakers hat. This hat is from 2020. When we won the championship, the bubble year. And it's just disappointing, man. Listen, you guys. So the news is that the Lakers will miss the playoffs this year. As everybody knows, they lost to the Suns last night. LeBron didn't play. Their season is ended. The Spurs ended up winning. So the last playing game will be the Spurs versus the Pelicans. Lakers are eliminated. And how I feel about this whole season, y'all been seeing me on here talk about it, man. It's really been wild to see us in this state. And you know what I mean? And it's not to say that I ever wanted perfectness out the team. It's not like I'm mad. It's not like I wanted us to be the number 1 seed. I mean, it would have been nice to be the number 1 seed, but I wouldn't have been mad. You know what I'm saying? If we was just in the race, but we wasn't even competitive this year, Laker Nation. You know what I mean? We really wasn't competitive. Everybody had their way with us. We lost to teams like the Rockets, the Pistons, like teams LeBron and Westbrook should never be losing to. I definitely give credit to the injuries. There was a lot of injuries, and we cannot act like there weren't injuries, and that definitely played a major part. And you can't blame the players for injuries. It's like they want to be on the floor, but injuries played definitely a big part in this season. But it's like, I just look at the configuration of the team. The configuration of the team, how it was assembled and who it was assembled with. I was never really high on them, even coming into the season. I mean, I thought it could happen because of Bron. Strictly because of Bron and, having AD and West. I really never believed in the Westbrook, though. The Westbrook thing, I promise y'all, I said that from jump. Like, y'all can go back and check the film. I said that from jump, but, like, AD, like, we didn't expect him to miss all these games this year. So it's like, people are telling me the sky's not falling. This is not the end of the world. And I know that. And it's like, yeah, we can definitely improve next year. We can come back stronger, retool the roster. But my thing is, you just got to call it what it is this year. And it has been the most failed season. From looking at it from an expectation standpoint, this has been the most failed season. I would say from what you looked at coming in from preseason and what people talked about to what it actually looked like on the court, the whole season, definitely biggest failure in NBA history, I feel like. If you look at all the Hall of Famers that's on this roster, future Hall of Famers, it definitely was the biggest failure in NBA history. And you guys, you can go down the line with me. We can talk about this as teams that got together and the biggest failures. I definitely think this was it. If you look at the players and everything and what they've done, we just got to call it what it is. But it's okay. I hope we keep LeBron. Everybody else can be shocked, in my opinion. I wouldn't mind everybody else be shocked. We could keep Bron with AD. That's fine, too. We just got to add the right role players. That's what I'll say on the Lakers, man. Shout out to Bron. He had a great season. Shout out to Westbrook, man. He got blamed for a lot of stuff that I feel like, Russ was Russ. Like, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people place this blame and scapegoat at Russ, but if y'all really look at it, Russ was just being Russ. He became a third option at first because we had AD and LeBron. So, of course, the numbers went down a little bit, but his play, He's been doing the same thing in OKC, same thing in Houston, same thing in Washington. So I have no problems with that, but he'll definitely probably have to leave the Lakers, and that's fine with me. He'll be way better with another team because his style of play will fit for another team, just not with ours. And I respect that. So, again, Lakers missed the playoffs. Disappointing season, but hopefully we bounce back tough next year. Next, I want to get into the Rookie of the Year race. So as y'all know, it's been the top three people have been Evan Mobley from the Cavs, Cade Cunningham from the Pistons, and Scotty Barnes from the Raptors. We also want to shout out to Jalen Green from the Houston Rockets. He's definitely been having a good season for a rookie. And Frank Wagner from the Orlando Magic, definitely having a good season as well. But the top three are definitely Evan Mobley, Cade Cunningham, and Scotty Barnes. So I'll give y'all some stats. Evan Mobley is averaging 14 points per game and 8 rebounds per game. Cade Cunningham is averaging 17 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and 5 assists per game. And Scotty Barnes is averaging 15 points per game and 7 assists per game. So, man, if you really look at it, Cade's averaging the most numbers, right? The best numbers. He's averaging. Him and Jalen Green are averaging 17, but it's hard to pick. You know what I mean? I think they look at it like Cade Cunningham was the number 1 pick, so what's he really doing? He's averaging 17. Give him that. Evan Mobley is a big part of the Cavs being in the playoff hunt, the play-in hunt. Big part of that. 14-8 on his rookie year. Shout out to that. Scotty Barnes definitely been doing this thing, man. I watch him every time with the Raptors, and he always go off. He's averaging 15-7. He's a great boost for them. They talked about got criticized for drafting him and starting him, and he's been great ever since they did that. So who I think will win? They may give it to Cade, man. I feel like they may give it to Cade because he was the number 1 pick and he's averaging the most. You know what I mean? Evan Mobley might deserve it more, but you got to look at Scotty Barnes too because the Raptors are in the playoffs. So if you look at it from that standpoint, that both their teams are in the playoffs. So I don't know. Who would you give it to out of them? I'll lean Scotty. He's been solid. So to talk about the last little part of my NBA rant, that is, let's talk about the East slots and the West slots. So coming out of the last games, in the East, you got the number 1 seeded Heat have locked up that number 1 seed in the East. And I want to also say, I told everybody at the beginning of the season I was picking the Heat to come out the East. They haven't came out yet, but they're doing exactly what I thought they would do. And they are the number 1 seed in the East, and they can't be overtook by anybody. Shout out to the Miami. Next, number 2, you got the Celtics. Boston made a great surge mid-season to come all the way up to 2, and we'll see if they can hold strong these last 2-3 games and claim that number 2 spot, man. That's a great season from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. At 3, we got the Super Bowl. The NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks at number 3. At number 4, we got James Harden and Joel Embiid, the 76ers. At 5, we got Toronto Raptors. Shout out to Pascal Van Fleet, Scotty Barnes, and them. At 6, we got the Bulls. They do make the playoffs. DeRozan's having a great season. But it is a big thing to be said a couple months ago. The Bulls was in the number 1 spot. So, you know what I mean? Shout out to them. Those are a lot for the top 6. Then in the play-in spots, we got the Cavs at the 7. Got the Nets at the 8. Got the Hawks at the 9. And we got the Hornets at the 10. So Cavs taking on the Nets, man. Cavs, man, listen, this is what I'm saying. Like, y'all have a great season. I definitely think they can win the play-in. Darius Garland, Lauri Markkanen, they'll have Evan Mobley. They have a great team. Rondo's out there. He's coming off the bench. He's happy to be out at LA playing for a playoff team. But I don't know, man. Kyrie and KD, it may be too much. It may be too much, man. And in a 3-game set, I'm going to have to take Brooklyn in that. I'm going to have to take the Nets in that. Then the Hawks take on the Hornets in a great matchup. I feel like that should be a great matchup. You know, it just really depends, man. Trae Young get hot for 2 games, you know. Definitely the Hawks can do it. They come out motivated like they did last year in the playoffs. They can do it. But I just feel like the Hornets have the better all-around team than the Hawks, man. If you really look at top to bottom, the bench and everything. I think the Hornets can do it, but Trey's my guy, man. He has the experience. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, man. I'm pulling for the Hawks in that. Let's talk about the West. In the West, we got the number 1 Phoenix Suns doing their thing. Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Ayton, looking at trying to go to the finals again. Number 2, shout out to the Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant doing his thing. Definitely in the MVP combo. We got to take Memphis serious, y'all. They're the number 2 seed in the West. Number 3, you got the Warriors. Shout out to Golden State. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green back at it, trying to get back into the fold. You already know they right there. Number 4, shout out to the Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic. It looks like they got rid of Porzingis, and the Mavericks took off, man. They made it all the way up to the fourth spot in the West. The 5, you got the Jazz. Shout out my guy Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. They looking to make some noise. Then at the 6, you got the Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic, the reigning MVP, having another MVP type season, doing his thing. In the play-in, we looking at the Timberwolves. Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the LA Clippers. I think that'll definitely be an exciting matchup. But like I said, with Paul George back in the fold, man, give me the Clippers. I definitely like the Timberwolves, man. I just feel like the Clippers made that deep run last year, you know what I mean? So they definitely I feel like the young players got that experience. Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard, all them guys, they went deep last year, so they know how to come into it, their mindset. And I just don't think the Timberwolves will have that mindset. But the talent is definitely there for Minnesota, but I'm going to take the Clippers. Then in the last play-in, of course, the New Orleans Pelicans will be taking on the Spurs. And actually, it's a series where I want to pick New Orleans to win, but if you really look at the season series, I believe the Spurs have won the season series against New Orleans. So it's going to be an intriguing matchup. Also, I guess it's going to be better than what I thought. I'm going to have to lean on the Pelicans. CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram. I like that tandem together. You know what I mean? So shout out to the NBA. We come into the play-in. We're going to have big playoff info for y'all when we come back on the 20th. So let's switch it to the NFL real fast. And you already know. First thing I want to talk about is the Buffalo Bills signing Stephon Diggs to a 4-year, $96 million extension. And yes, I definitely feel it was well-deserved. Stephon Diggs, as y'all know, he's been one of the top receivers in the league for years now. Definitely solid. He proved his worth when he first got to Buffalo. Definitely worthy of this money. Moving forward, I definitely think a Super Bowl should be in the fold. With his 4 years that he signed, I definitely think within them 4 years, the Buffalo Bills should reach the Super Bowl. So I think that was a good thing they extended him. Give Josh his blanket. And shout out to the Bills, man, doing work on that side of it. And the last thing I want to talk about on the NFL side is Bobby Wagner. Everybody. Bobby Wagner is the Seattle Seahawks star linebacker for 10 years, has came to the LA Rams, baby. Has came to the Los Angeles Rams. And I feel so great about it, man. Like, out of everybody that was on the market, it was tough losing Bond. I hate that he played with us and he acted like he was going to come back, run it back, and then he went to Buffalo. But I understand it because of the money. Like, get your money. He had leverage. Go ahead and get your money. But, man, bro, Bobby Wagner is a great linebacker. I know this from watching Seattle play us all these years. Like, all these years, bro. Like, on that D, you always got to come for Bobby. He's always in the play. He's always in the tackle. Great instinctive player. He going to shore up our middle. Our middle's never really been shore up. I feel like that's... Teams have always attacked the Rams middle. Bobby Wagner should definitely clog that up. Definitely stop that up. He'll be working with Ernest Jones. I can't wait to see that. That should be a great linebacker in tandem. Linebacker's not a problem no more in LA, man. I'm definitely confident in Bobby. This definitely makes me feel like we can run it back. LA Rams can definitely run it back. Getting Bobby Wagner. I am interested to see what we do at corner, though. I feel like we'll have to do something in the secondary to assure it. But that front seven right now, man, we cooking. And then we still got Jalen on the back end, man. So shout out to, I hate Snead sometimes, Les Snead, the Rams GM. But he's proved it. He's definitely one of the greatest GMs of all time. This is going to have to go down in history. The moves he's made over the last 5 years, like, come on. Shout out to Snead. he gets on my nerves with the draft part of it, but he's proved that that's his philosophy to win Super Bowl. So you know what I mean? Shout out to Snead, shout out to the Rams. We gonna run it back, you already know, man. And that's the end of Carter Sports Coverage. As I always tell you guys, if you guys have any product, any business you want to advertise on the show, it's open to you guys. DM us, message us, let us know, man. We're gonna keep the sports news coming, man. We appreciate y'all watching every week, man. Subscribe. And we're gonna catch y'all April 20th for the new episode of Carter Sports Coverage, man. Y'all be safe out here, man. Yeah.